And Wendy van Lieshout is the CEO of Active Adventures in Queenstown. Her business has been in operation for 23 years. She's unable to operate under level 2. And Wendy joins us now. Wendy, a $400 million package announced for tourism today with a campaign aimed at domestic tourism. What use is that to you?
Well, look, some of those bits and pieces will help us, but I think it's just a little bit lacking for those of us who've actually already pivoted and made a change in our businesses. What we really need is some form of funding that will help us get going. We probably fall between the cracks a little bit. We don't fall under the Tourism Asset Protection Program, so we would really like to see some more support for people like us.
So how much of your business is domestic versus international?
Well, currently 100% of our business is international. So we're very quickly pivoting to try and pick up Kiwis and also Aussies if the bubble comes off. Will that get us through? Hopefully just perhaps on survival, but we have relied on hundreds of millions of dollars worth of North Americans primarily coming to New Zealand for the last 23 years. So it's going to be tough.
When you say you could hang on, maybe, how long for?
That's the tricky question. Obviously, the wage subsidy today will help us scrape through a little bit longer, but a business like ours is all about the people, and we're desperately trying to keep them tethered to our business, and that will be our success going forward. If there is no international summer into New Zealand this year, as in over the Christmas period, we will really struggle to return to the same business we were and we are now.
You must in your head be thinking there's not going to be international tourists through to the end of the year at least.
Yep, definitely. And look, we also operate in other parts of the world who, if they open up before we do, then we have some opportunity to also operate there if we can, but that's a lot trickier and it doesn't quite bring in the same amount of dollars as New Zealand does. So we're very much in strife here. And like I say, the scary thing for what's been delivered is that it misses people like us out. We bring together we deal with 120 New Zealand tourism operators to bring together our product for international visitors. So we're also keeping them ticking over. And it's going to be extremely, extremely tough for people like us.
Wendy, we've had a lot of feedback on this issue, and some people are saying if you're an unsustainable business, then it's tough, but the government shouldn't throw good money after bad. Some of the other comments have been that operators in Queenstown are arrogant and they haven't built up reserves with domestic travellers. What would you say to people who think that?
Okay, so for starters, we've been, as I say, operating for 23 years. We have been profitable and we do have reserves, and that's why we've been able to retain our staff to date. There is no arrogance here. We're not a Queenstown operator. We're nationwide all around New Zealand, and our job is to bring people to New Zealand to enjoy the entire country. Even though we're based in Queenstown, that surprises me a little bit, those sorts of comments. And as far about throwing good money after bad, we have brought hundreds of millions of export dollars in income and taxpayer money into New Zealand over the last 23 years, and we've been extremely successful. We just want to keep that going. And if people like us don't exist, who is going to bring those people?
When was your last international tourist?
Our very last trip the last tourist left a couple of weeks into lockdown. They were caught here, one couple in Auckland, but our last trip was literally disbanding as lockdown began.
And all your bookings would have disappeared into the ether, no doubt.
Yep, absolutely. And that's thousands of passengers. So for those people who think that's not throwing good money after bad, that's definitely not the case in our case.
What are people doing about next year? I assume you would have had some bookings out into next year. Are people cancelling those, or how are they reacting?
No, we, as you can imagine, over that period of time, we have a very high repeat customer ratio. So we've managed to rebook people into next year. But the tricky thing now, of course, is as that time lengthens and there's less opportunity for potentially bringing people to New Zealand, we have to start thinking about how we can cater to those people. So we are making plans, but that's one of the things I think that annoyed me a little bit about the tourism transition program. We've been consulted to death. We're done with that. We don't need any more advice, and I'd be very surprised if tourism businesses aren't already in a place where they know whether they can transition or not. So that seems like a colossal waste of money to me.
So what is it that you actually do need specifically?
Promotion. We need, and look, I appreciate Tourism New Zealand is about to do an amazing, hopefully, campaign to get New Zealanders travelling again, and that's fantastic. We need the ability to be able to target our customer type, and that's extremely tricky when we're desperately trying to keep people. We need, promotional funds, and we have had some opportunities to apply for free activity and things, which we've been successful in, but more of that would be amazing, both for New Zealand and for Australia specifically.
So are you really, hanging a lot of hope on this TransTasman Bubble idea?
Yeah, there is definitely a lot hanging on that. An unknown market for us, generally speaking, but I think there'll be a lot of pent-up demand, and a product like ours will be very, very appealing to Australians. So yes, absolutely. Just
before you go, how many people do you employ?
We normally, at the top of the season, we employ about 90, of which about 35 are permanent at our HQ here in Queenstown.
And are you going to have to let some of them go? Have you let any go?
We have been very lucky that we've managed to retain all of our HQ staff. A lot of our guides would normally start winding down now because obviously as we head into winter we don't run as many trips. So to date we have managed to retain our entire team, and that is our goal. And that should be the goal for the whole country because these people are hard to find. They're incredible talent, and we've, as I say, 23 years, a lot of our people have been with us for over 10 or 15 years. I don't want to lose those people. They make our business and bring people to this country.
Really appreciate your time. That is Wendy van Lieshout, who is the CEO of Active Adventures in Queenstown, and her business, as she said, has been operating for more than 2 decades.